We're about to kick down the doors and go inside of the C-suite of the new managing director of Fleishman Hillard, Sharon Piehl. Follow us through. Hi, Sharon. Welcome to Inside of her C-suite.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you. It's so awesome being here. I'm really excited about your position. You've been in this role now for several months. How long has it been?
Probably 3 months now.
Now, as a managing director, you carry a lot of sort of power, a lot of weight. Are you enjoying it?
I think absolutely, and I think that over time you realize that leadership, you're not actually on your own. You're surrounded by really talented people. So I don't really feel alone. Surrounded by great people.
Got it. So this whole world of sort of managing reputation, brands, marketing, when you were a child, were you into reputation? Did you care about it?
I think I was always very aware of my surroundings and who I was, and I was always drawn to sort of the creative environment. I had a very, very, very strong passion for ballet. Always thought that I'd end up on the stage as a prima ballerina, and sort of loved the drama and all of that. I think my mother always said to me, you're somebody who always needs an audience, and I think that's where my love for people, being engaging and feeding off people, sort of really started. But never quite made the prima ballerina bit. So
leadership is sort of a dance, isn't it? It's kind of a dance with your team, a dance with the group.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's understanding where other people's strengths come in, and maybe where you're not as strong, and in those moments it's where those people will lift you up. And it is a dance. I think it's you creating something beautiful, and I think through leadership and empowerment, when I took over, I said to my sort of executive team, there's going to be moments when I stand ahead of you, and there's going to be moments when I stand alongside you, but there are also times when you're going to be standing in front of me, and I think that's probably understanding in the dance of leadership is who's leading when and when to lead, and I think that is what is really important.
Were you leading, let's use this sort of dancing as a metaphor, were you, as a young person, were you comfortable leading? Do you remember when you became comfortable with yourself enough to lead? Did you take on projects in school where you were a leader?
Yes, absolutely. I think, again, I was somebody who was quite vocal from a very young age. I think I remember my first sort of leadership role was probably back then was Standard 5, so what's that, grade 7 these days, was being sort of head librarian. It sounds bizarre, but I had a love for reading, and it was something that I wanted to do, and that was probably my first sort of real leadership role. And then obviously through my dancing, fought really, really hard. Probably didn't have natural talent, but worked and persevered really hard, and I think that's also where my sort of determination came from to lead. And yeah,
you have obviously have a really beautiful sort of posture and stature. At what point did you become comfortable just in general with yourself? I find that leaders often struggle with just settling into themselves and have their own personal brand identity, become comfortable. When did you sort of embrace and fall in love with the fact that this is who I am, this is my height, this is who I am?
I think it was when I was in grade 9, so sort of my second year of high school. And I realized that I was standing and absolutely everybody around me was a hell of a lot shorter. And yeah, I think I stood there and realized that you can either, it's how you react to a moment. And that was the time that I sort of really embraced that. I then became a prefect in my matric year. And really realized that you should just own your moment, and I think that when you're comfortable and you're confident, the people around you are comfortable and confident. And I think also what's really important for me was just around being clear, and that it was okay to be a woman, it was okay to have a voice. I think you've got to teach yourself when to listen. So probably my high school year was the time that I realized that I was comfortable with who I am and what I had to offer the world.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So since high school, you went and studied, and you found yourself on a fast track to this point. You found yourself in Fleishman Hillard, and no man had been in the position, woman had been in the position you're in now. What gave you the confidence to believe that you could lead and break that sort of glass ceiling?
So my journey from my career point of view, I actually started out in the corporate environment, and then moved into a smallish agency that was probably about 10 or 12 people. And in a small agency, you learn to do everything. And so you start to make it your business to understand how the business works, looking and grabbing every opportunity. I was at that agency for about 10 years. And then funny enough, I actually took some time off. I have 2 young children, twins, and decided to take a little bit of time and raise them. And then got an amazing opportunity was when Kevin called me and said, look, the brand marketing position is open, are you interested? It was an opportunity to grow something. It was in its infancy when I joined, and that really excited me. And I think that when I knew that this position was something that I could do, was probably a lot to do with who Kevin was as my manager and my mentor. And he gave me the space and the freedom to sort of grow brand marketing and run brand marketing how I felt was right. So just that empowerment piece for me was hugely, hugely important. And I think that's got a lot to do with how you grow into a leader is who's leading you, who are you surrounded by. And I think that from early on in our discussions, he kind of said, where do you see yourself? And I said, well, I do see myself sort of running a bigger piece of the business, running
So you were clear.
I was very clear of where I wanted to be. I'm very open-minded in the sense that you need to be making an impact, and when you stop making an impact, you need to move on. So breaking through the glass ceiling, I think it's got a lot to do with don't wait for the opportunity, grab the opportunity. Don't wait for somebody to come to you and offer it to you. Be very clear, be very open about what you want. And I was taught that from a very young age. And I think it was something that my father instilled in me. Through life, be respectful, work hard, and put your hand up when the opportunities come.